Everything you've been told about Christianity, what if it's not what you think? Growing up a Muslim, I was so proud of Islam's high standards of morality. And I thought Christian had none. But what if I told you Christianity actually calls for an even higher standard? And we've only been judging it through the wrong lenses. Welcome to the Missing Pieces show. I am your host Esma, and today we are uncovering how media and culture shaped our view of Christianity and why the missing pieces is very important to clarify that perspective. The same way we don't want the media to misrepresent Muslims in the West, we have accepted whatever the media said about Christians in the East without ever going to their source. I grew up in a country that was 99% Muslim. Back then, we didn't have social media like today. So our knowledge about Christianity came almost entirely from what we saw in movies and music videos, the news from the West. And here is the contradiction. We actually, on the other hand, we trusted everything that came from the West as far as products and services, science, technology. If it was Western made, we believed it was high quality. But when it comes to culture, when it comes to morality, when it comes to faith, what we saw in those movies looked corrupt, dangerous, and harmful to Muslim families. Movies showed drinking, partying, women dressing certain way, relationship outside of marriage. All of that became my definition and a definition of many Muslims of Christians. I grew up thinking Christianity meant no boundaries, no morals, no rules. I remember praying before going to school, my first year in school in the West, saying, God, protect me from the infidels, from the ones that are not Muslims because of the way they live. And I tell you, most of Muslim families are afraid, not because they're afraid of Christians, it's because they're afraid that the way of living that they saw in these movies and how the media presents can affect their children and maybe lead them to be rebellious and far away from God. So that is the fear of a lot of Muslim families. Here's the thing. When we judge Christianity through Christians who don't practice, or through media or stereotypes, it's just like if a Christian judged, or non-Christian, judge all Muslims who don't practice. Muslims who drink or party or does everything against Islam and still say they are Muslim. That's not fair, don't you think? And the same way is true in reverse. The media, as we all know, has its own agenda. Here in the West, it paints Muslims as terrorists and dangerous. And that doesn't mean that you have to be mad at your Christian friends, no. But a lot of the Christians are getting a lot of this information from their media. And all this media is doing is creating fear. So it's not to go and insult your Christian friends. Oh, you don't know, you are ignorant. No, you just meet with them and talk to them and have a communication. That's very important. And so they can also clarify some things to you about Christianity that you may not be understanding. And you also may be getting all this information from the wrong lenses that they're getting it from. To know Christianity, you can't look at it through Hollywood and the news. You have to go to the source. You have to go to the Bible itself. You see, when I finally read the Bible, I was shocked. I thought Christianity was all about freedom to sin. But when I read Matthew 5, when Jesus said, if you even look at a woman with lust, you've already committed adultery in your heart. That's a higher standard than anything I had imagined. So adultery is a sin? So Christians are not supposed to do that? And here's another thing. I read that being angry at your brother carries the same weight as murder in God's eyes. And that's not do whatever you want. That's holiness. That's a standard even higher than what I thought in Islam demanded. I can't imagine how many people I have murdered in God's eyes just being angry at them, especially where I come from. We really do get angry. So here's the missing piece. If you want to know what Christianity truly is, don't look at movies, right? Don't look at the worst examples of Christians. And don't look at the media that profits off of fear and division. Go to the source, the Bible. Just like you wouldn't want someone to judge Islam by actions of people that are not practicing Islam. Don't judge Christianity by stereotypes. Judge it by what Jesus himself thought. And when you do, you may discover something you never expected. A faith that is not about lowering standard, but raising it. Not about rules that crush, but about a God who sees the heart of every single person equally. This is the Missing Pieces Show. I am your host, Esma. Until next time, and please remember, don't let media define your faith. Let the truth speak for itself.